You already know it's your boy, the Maniac. And it is over, ladies and gentlemen. The college football regular season is officially over. Championship week finished yesterday, last night, during the day, wherever. We are now in the playoffs and bowl season. Some of you guys will be playing in the playoffs. Some of you guys, like us, will be playing in the bowl game. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, to be exact. Opponent to be announced for Michigan, which they'll announce in a couple of hours when they do the selection show. But anyway, let's get to these games, man, real quick. The championship games, the Power Four. Let's start with the first game of the day. We had the Big 12 championship, the Texas Tech Red Raiders versus the BYU Cougars. This was a rematch of a game that happened in the regular season. In fact, of the 4 championship games we had yesterday, 3 were rematches. 3. So this was a rematch. Texas Tech absolutely dominated the first game and absolutely dominated the second game. Look, man, Texas Tech, they're a scary team. They're a dangerous team because they play defense. And those linebackers, those linebackers. Shout out to my brother JOJ, that's Johnny Olden Jr. We in the group chat. And bro, these guys are fast, physical, and disciplined, man. That's how you want your linebackers to play. Fast, physical, and disciplined. Once they have that, everything else plays out, man. BYU, don't get me wrong, they're a good team. When your only 2 losses is to a team like Texas Tech, it's nothing to keep your head down about, man. BYU, and they starting a true freshman and Bear Macher. Hopefully I said his name. I've been botching names lately. I don't like botching names, but you get what I'm saying. Texas Tech, BYU, they score. Go up 7-0. You like, uh-oh. And then they said, enough is enough. And Texas Tech did what they've been doing all year, man. And that's pretty much dominating. Their only loss came to Arizona State. At Arizona State, close game. But man, Texas Tech, that's a team that's flying under the radar. That's a team to look. My only thing is offensively, can they score points consistently? It's going to be the question in the playoffs. And we're going to see. We're going to get our answer. But defensively, their defense will pretty much put them, and that will have them in every game they play in the playoffs. I think it's going to be up to their offense to match that of their defense. So Texas Tech gets the win, will definitely get a bye. There will be a top 4 team when the top 12 is unveiled. So I expect that. Shout to Texas Tech, Big 12 champions. Now, the second championship game yesterday was at 4 p.m. It was the SEC championship between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, Alabama just been having Georgia's number lately, right? Georgia had won the SEC championship last year. They're looking to go back-to-back SEC championships. And, man, this was pure domination as well on Georgia's part. Kirby has his defense peaking at the right time. Early on in the season, their defense was meh. It was like, okay, they were winning, but their defense, you could see they were giving up points, giving up big plays. Nah, man, he got this defense playing like they did during them championship seasons, man. And if that Georgia defense continues to play like that, again, just like Texas Tech is a team that can not only compete for a natty, but can win the natty as well, right? Gunnar Stockton, man. One thing I like about this guy, he's a pure football player. Nothing flashy about him, nothing special about him, but he gets it done. He gets it done, man. A lot of short intermediate passes. They run the ball well, and he's perfect for this system. Gunnar Stockton is perfect for their system. Like I said, nothing flashy. He could use his legs. He's tough. He's willing to sacrifice that body for that extra yard, man, and you always want that from your quarterback. Now, it's scary because if he goes down, who they have? I don't know who's Georgia's backup, but I do know Gunnar Stockton is a dog, man. And when you have a quarterback like that, you're always going to have a chance to win in the game, man. So Georgia gets it done. Domination, bro. Domination. Kirby he gets his second win versus Alabama since his first national championship back in 2021 when they beat Alabama in the national championship. So this is his second win versus Alabama, and it was domination, man. Does Alabama get in the playoffs now with 3 losses? And two of the losses they got dominated in? We shall see if that SEC bias is real. But Georgia's another team that will get a bye. They will absolutely move up to number 2 in the rankings when it's unveiled later. Moving on to the evening. At the same time, we had 2 games, 8 p.m. One on Fox, one on ABC. The ACC Championship. Now, going into Saturday, this was probably the game that had the least interest of the public. No one Virginia versus Duke, a 5-loss team in a championship game. You're like, man, what this conference is doing, right? But Virginia, this was a rematch, and Virginia beat Duke a couple of weeks ago, about 3.5 weeks ago. So you're saying to yourself, can they do it again? It's never easy to beat the same team twice. And like Alabama beat Georgia in the regular season this year. I forgot to mention that when I was recapping that game, but Georgia get the get back. This game, can Duke get the get back? And they sure did. This was a hell of a game, man. This game ended up going to overtime, in which Duke came out with the win. Manny Diaz, he gets Duke that conference championship, but the problem is that they will not make the playoffs. You don't automatically make the playoffs by winning your conference. I believe they implemented that rule during the offseason for stuff like this. Because imagine the outcry we would have had if you would have had an 8-5 team going into the playoffs right now. I believe it's the top 5 conference winners, including the G5. So I believe James Madison will be getting a playoff spot thanks to Duke. So James Madison, send all your gifts, send all your thank yous, send the champagne, send everything to Duke over there in Durham if you end up getting into the playoffs later on today. So, you know, Virginia, good season, man. You know, they were tough, but you got to finish strong, man. If they would have won, they would have made the playoffs, but unfortunately they won't. And Duke got it done. It was 27-20. Virginia drove, man, like 90-plus yards, like with a minute and change left to tie the game. Well, it was a hell of a game, man. A hell of a game. If you're a college football fanatic like I am, then you enjoy that game. But we'll see what's next for both schools. Obviously, a bowl game. And then, of course, the Big Ten Championship, the conference my team plays in. You had the number 1 team in Ohio State versus Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana got disrespected going into this week. They nobody. They can't compete with Ohio State. Ohio State is just too good. They too great. No one can beat them. They could beat the Chiefs. They could beat the Eagles. They could beat everybody. No one's beating this Ohio State team. This is the greatest defense in the history of the sport. Jeremiah, the greatest receiver to ever touch the field. Cornell Tate, bye, Julian Sayin, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And they lost. Indiana, 5 sacks. It was getting at him. Julian Sayin, he was looking like a deer in headlights at times, man. They were getting at him. And that's the key. If you could get pressure on him, you're going to have a great opportunity to beat Ohio State, honestly, right? Shout to Indiana's DC, bro. He was in his bag, in his duffel. He had Ohio State shut down, bro. It was struggle to move the ball. They only scored 10 points. In fact, he shut them out in the second half. This was so mirror of the Michigan game last year. Very, very similar. And the only thing is, Indiana is a way better team than Michigan is. And Indiana is undefeated now and will be the #1 team going into the playoffs. So they held Ohio State's run game in check, 58 yards rushing, the lowest amount they've had since 2011. Shut them boys down. And I'm gonna say this. OSU, I could still see them winning the national championship, right? If you like, yo, this is deja vu. If you an OSU fan, you're gonna say 13-10, the last game of the year before the playoffs, right? Although this was a championship game, but it's the same thing. Last game is considered still like the regular season. Shut out in the second half. Then we went on a killer streak. We won 16 straight. If you're an OSU fan, you take that trade, right? You say, all right, fuck it, we're going to win another 16 straight. I take this loss last night. Shit, I don't care. I take that loss. But we will see different teams. If OSU, if you could stop their run, right? Just contain it and get pressure on saying, they're going to have trouble in the playoffs. This is not Quinshawn Junkins, Travion Henderson. That was huge for them last year. They could say what they want. Don't get me wrong. Bo Jackson, he's nasty. The kid is gonna be a stud at Ohio State. And he got 2 more years. The dude's gonna be a dog. They got running back 1 for the next 2 years. They have nothing to worry about. I think he's gonna be a dog his whole career at OSU. But to put that on a freshman, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. And the running backs behind him, it's not that they're not good. They're talented, but they're just not producing. So he's the only one. Mind you, if a true freshman is your starting running back, it's because your upperclassman is kind of cacadoodle, right? But what a game. Mendoza, man, what a dog. First play of the game, Curry, rock him. Makata. That dude was folded like after 10 shots of tequila. You know, clean hit. That was a clean hit. Good football hit. You know, what a game. What a game. But Indiana, man, how they played, man, they showed the country we're the best team in America. And to do that to a team with just full of 5 stars on defense and offense, they might have 4 or 5 first-round picks. Listen, your 2 best teams you play, OSU, Texas and Indiana, and you couldn't even score more than 14 points. I'm just saying. It's something to consider if you're an OSU fan. But OSU can still win the Natty. I understand that. I hate them. I'm happy they lost. But at the same breath, it would not surprise me if they won the Natty. In fact, I'm still going to... I would slightly favor them to win it all. I'm just keeping it real. You know, we'll see how they bounce back from this, but they're beatable. It's just the defense, man. OSU's defense is definitely elite, man. Sometimes their offense put them in bad holes, but their defense, man, it's hard to score on that defense. I keep it real. I keep it real, man. But I'm going to tell OSU now, your man number 7, Matthews, and who's that number 3, too? I think his last name is Styles, too. Them dudes are food. They food in your secondary. Any OC in the playoffs, any matchup I got, I'm attacking those 2 in the secondary all day. Them dudes are food. I don't care what anybody tell me. They are food in your secondary. So, you know, we'll see. You know, what comes out of this, you know, how they bounce back for both teams, right? Because they might end up meeting again for the Natty. Very possible. So that concludes the regular season championship Saturday. If I had to pick The top 4 teams is going to be Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech. I think Ohio State will slip to 4 and get in that bye week. They'll be the last team to get the bye. I get it. They only lost by 3. You know, but Indiana missed a field goal as well, in case people want to say, oh, but we missed a field goal. There was holdings on both sides that I saw. You know, Indiana got away with some. Ohio State got away with some. So I don't want to hear this referee shit. So it is what it is. All I know is this. Yesterday, whoever wins the Natty this year played yesterday. Hands down. That's either Texas Tech, Georgia, OSU, or Indiana. Though, if I had to bet the house, one of those 4 are absolutely going to win the national championship. I have no doubt in my mind. You got some honorable mentions: Oregon, Texas A&M, who else? Ole Miss. But whoever's going to host that trophy for the Natty played yesterday. I'm about a 99.9% of that. So we'll see. We'll see later on today where these teams are seated, and we'll see what first round matchups we get, man. Should be a hell of a playoff, man. Buckle up, man, because it should be a goodie. Oh, and Google Signetti. It's your boy, the Maniac, and I'm out. 1.